Wessex Lane Halls is a halls of residence complex owned by the University of Southampton. It is situated in the Swatling district of Southampton, approximately 1 mile northeast of the university campus in Highfield. The complex is formed of South Stoneham House, Connaught Hall, and Montefiore House. There are over 1,800 undergraduate and postgraduate students living in Wessex Lane Halls. University of Southampton students living in halls are supported by the Residences Support Service, who are available throughout the night. The students organize their own social events, sports teams and deal with welfare issues through the JCR Junior Common Room Committee, which is elected each year. The bars are run by the Students' Union. The complex is served by excellent transport links, with regular Unilink buses heading north to Southampton Airport and Eastleigh at peak times and south to Southampton City Centre, and hourly trains from nearby Swatling Railway Station. South Stoneham House. South Stoneham House was acquired, with South Hill situated some 2 miles northwest of Wessex Lane, in 1920 to house male students at University College Southampton. It was originally the manor house of the parish of South Stoneham, which stretched along the River Itchen from the Bargate in Southampton City Centre to Eastleigh. The house itself was constructed in 1708, as the family home of Edmund Dummer, the former surveyor of the Navy, and has been attributed to Nicholas Hawksmoor, while its gardens were laid out after 1722 by Capability Brown, though very little of the original landscaping remains. Tradition prevailed in the house, with a collegiate atmosphere, as gowns were expected to be worn to dinner and lectures and curfews were enforced. The South Stoneham regime was also distinctly paternalistic. A bell was rung at 5:45 each evening and everyone settled in silence to study until another bell 2 hours later released us for dinner. At 10 o'clock another bell called us to prayers. Half an hour later the warden came round to all the bedrooms to check that everyone was in bed. Ernest Holmes, The University of Southampton, An Illustrated History. By 1924, there was distinct pressure on space in the halls of residence, and it was clear that more rooms were needed. The existing halls were full, and so South Stoneham and South Hill were extended by covering their outbuildings. During the Second World War, the Highfield location of the college meant it was directly in the war zone itself. With Southampton being attacked, the halls of residence were also under siege at South Stoneham. Windows were blown in by bombs. For much of this time, the college operated a school of navigation, based in the communal rooms of Stoneham House. In 1964, a concrete tower extension was added to the hall, incorporating a bar and dining hall area, both now out of use. The extension was designed as a stopgap measure until the full development of the Montefiore and Glen Eyre sites could be pushed through, with an anticipated lifespan of just 15 years. Citation needed over 4 decades on, the tower was only finally removed from the university's housing stock in 2012. South Stoneham has 180 rooms over its 17 floors, 16 of which are residential, although it is all closed to the public. For the majority of Stoneham's existence as a residence, students were fully catered for in the building's own canteen and dining hall. In latter years, as the building's use was wound down, residents were part catered for in Aid Connaught Scally restaurant. Residents shared small kitchen and bathroom facilities. Much controversy had surrounded the continuous use of South Stoneham Tower, and in 1997 a large wooden collar was added to the base of the tower to prevent crumbling concrete falling onto staff and students below. As the tower was originally built using asbestos, its decommission and deconstruction has provided a technical stumbling block to redevelopment of the South Stoneham site. Physical disassembly would be hugely expensive, while explosives cannot be used due to the proximity of private houses and the Grade 2 listed South Stoneham House. The future of Stoneham Tower is uncertain, though it will not be used for accommodation again due to it being deemed unsafe in 2012. Connaught Hall. Connaught Hall is one of the university's original halls of residence, purpose-built in 1931 for what was then the Hartley Institution. That original building, now known as the Old Quad, was added to in 1964. The same year the dining hall, kitchens and 17-story tower were added to South Stoneham House, forming the new quad and bringing the number of rooms to 315. Today the accommodation is primarily used by first-year undergraduate students who live in the hall for 1 year only, but originally it was open to a wider range of university members. For example, a professor of mathematics, Harold Roos, lived in Connaught for 9 years, from 1937 to 1946. The 2 quads consist of blocks of rooms arranged into squares with scenic gardens in the centers. The Old Quad is of traditional design in the Neo-Georgian architecture style and contains study bedrooms grouped around staircases and most of the communal JCR facilities. The new quad contains the reception area and main building, the galley restaurant and the majority of study bedrooms. The hall is set in a wooded grounds overlooking Monks Brook. Facilities on offer within Connaught in addition to those at Montefiore Halls include a large common room larger than that at Glen Eira Citation Needed, the largest ratio of space to number of residents within a university citation needed, computer room, library, music room, snooker room, a restaurant which provides part catering for residents, gym, TV room, bar, barbecue area and laundry room. Montefiore houses. Around 1925 Mrs. Montefiore, wife of Claude Montefiore, purchased a piece of land opposite South Stoneham House, and gave it to the house for a playing field. Claude Montefiore paid for a pavilion to be constructed on the land. Montefiore House, often referred to as Monty as a hall of residence, was opened in 1966, built on the grounds of the sports field. Montefiore Halls are a self-catered residence. These original structures are now known as Montefiore A and B, and house approximately 300 first-year students and study bedrooms on individual corridor flats, with shared kitchens and other facilities, ranged over 5 floors. Montefiore B is the largest structure. 2 flats are situated on each floor, separated into 2 sides, road end facing Wessex Lane and rail end facing the railway track. There are 21 students to each flat, except for ground floor's road end, where administrative staff offices occupy some space. This has been met with criticism. Kitchens are often very crowded as 21 students must share a single kitchen. Over the next few decades 2 other developments took place which replaced the old playing fields with the largest student residential center in Southampton. Montefiore 2 was built in 1977 and consists of self-contained flats housing 400 students in flats of 7 rooms each with their own study bedroom. Montefiore 3, the largest of the Monty groupings, was opened in September 1993 and houses some 600 students grouped in flats of 7 each occupying a study bedroom with ensuite facilities. This addition made Monty the largest hall of residence in Europe in terms of the number of students that can be accommodated at the time. Although generally well built, sound insulation was left out, and noise has been an inevitable problem. Recently Montefiore 4 was added, replacing the link corridor and management offices between A and B blocks, which brings an additional 150 ensuite rooms and disabled facilities to the complex.